Today we're going to speak about spiritual consciousness levels.
Based on chakra scale?
Yeah, based on the
chakra levels?
The chakra levels that are unlocked within us.
And I'm sure all the guys who are watching these videos.
This is our spiritual family fighting.
Hi.
Hi to everybody. So gather your spiritual family, do similar things, you know? So,
My spiritual brother.
so just for benefit of everybody, just in case somebody has never heard about chakra, anybody wants to say what chakra is?
I think the chakras are the energetic body.
Centers, right?
Of the centers of the body. And maybe you've seen some chakras, photos, some depictions. You have the first chakra, the base of the spine, and then the sacral chakra, which is 4 finger widths above the bottom chakra. And then you have opposite the navel, the 3rd center, the 4th, the dorsal. The
4th
5th
is right. 4th is right there with the heart.
the heart, yeah.
4. 5.
5 is the throat.
Throat.
Area.
6 here, right
Most
between the
people
eyebrows.
talk about that.
Third eye.
eye. Yeah.
And 7th chakra is
Crown
right
chakra.
there above top of your head, top of your head.
And then the colors too, right? So red,
Yes, yes.
orange, yellow, green, blue.
Purple.
Yeah, everybody.
Indigo.
Oh, it's like
Okay,
the colors
okay.
of a rainbow.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh,
Right.
Oh, I
So
see.
we all got a rainbow
Yeah.
inside
Roy
of
G
us.
did.
And each chakra has a certain amount of, they call them petals. So
Ah.
they look like a lotus. And when your chakra is activated, the petals are up. And when you're not activating that chakra, it's kind of like drooping. And you've seen maybe like a flower that's kind of needs water or something. So we're supposed to water our chakras with
So what you're saying
positive
is,
vibrations. Vibrations activate the different petals of the chakra.
What's the water?
with spiritual energy,
Spiritual
prayers,
energy.
etc. But I'm just imagining here, correct me if I'm wrong. So Monday morning, most of people go to work like this, with chakras pointed down, all drooping down, low energy. And of course, just because you had a fight with your boyfriend or girlfriend, you're really dragging yourself.
You feel heavy.
You're right.
Yeah.
Heavy, disconnected, disoriented, right? Confused, scattered, and all those things. That's true, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we all
Oh, yeah.
experience that, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So there is some art and science here, right? There's some art and science behind this, and that's basically as David, you were saying, the yoga system, right? Gets into that, and the beauty of that is, I mean, not selling yoga system. We just kind of, find one way to explain this. There are a lot of spiritual things we can experience them in our own bodies, and if you do some experiments, try some good things. Like you said, put the water of love and cleanse yourself, and your petals go up. And you're very, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, full of energy, and very funny, right? Very focused. And I've seen that. That's true. That's very true. Very true. So, what are some of the symptoms? Like when somebody, let's say, is stuck, say his gear is stuck on the first gear. It makes a lot of sounds, So what does it feel like to be stuck in the first chakra?
It's a more survivalist mentality, fight or flight kind of experiences.
I see.
A lot of fear and lower emotional experiences are associated.
Can you give them like an example, like fight or flight? How would, I mean, so I've never understood it. So fight or flight tendency, in the sense, indicates if that's like predominant in a person, then you can say this person's more first chakra based.
It's like survival.
Like aggressive person? Quick
Not,
temper?
not aggressive. It's more like, suppose a lion is going to attack you,
Yeah.
and you're threatened, and you're afraid for your life. That's when that center is activated. And you could have similar situations. Say, for example, recently at one of the automotive companies, not to mention anyone, is they were afraid a lot of people were going to lay it off. I bet a lot of them were stuck at the first chakra because all the energy and the
What's gonna
attention
happen?
Yeah.
and psychological concern,
Yeah.
everything was going there, correct?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
And if you have a bad situation with your boss and you don't get along, maybe he's threatening you, he might lay you off, right?
Oh.
Things like that. Or if you love somebody and he keeps saying, I'm going to leave you, then you got, again, fear-based mentality,
Mhm.
right?
Living
Yeah.
from-
And so basically, it's like when the lion is going to attack you, for example, you're behind the bush, now you have to decide either you're going to fight this guy or you're going to run and save yourself. You don't have a third choice. You don't have a third choice.
Mm.
Maybe we should talk about too the organs that are related to each chakra. Like if you're living in a state of stress, you know, you're gonna be more into the adrenal glands, your cortisol levels. The chakras relate to certain glands. Like your body functions better when you're feeling better or your chakras in harmony. So.
Yeah, it's a very beautiful point because I think I saw it recently. I saw YouTube. I'm a YouTube junkie, by the way.
Same here.
My,
Oh my god, I said that
My-
in Spanish.
so my YouTube chakra is open. You know,
Wait, which one is that? That's like 0?
so this was a very. I think it was Bruce Lipton or one of these advanced guys who's talking about biology of faith.
Yeah.
What
They
they're
can talk to
saying is,
yourselves.
in today's culture, a lot of people are living with a lot of anxiety and fear. Our human body is such that when we feel the fear and anxiety, what are we trying to do? It's a healthy response because we are trying to avoid a future pain, either pain or some kind of loss. And when you are faced with that kind of situation, it almost appears like a lion is going to attack you. So the body doesn't know if the lion is attacking you or your mother-in-law is threatening you, you know. And of course, if your mother-in-law looks like a lion, then you know it's just pure coincidence. You know.
Run away.
But she's got a beard too, you know. So interestingly, what they're saying is all the blood from your body goes to your limbs, and that's what he's saying. Flight means run away. If you're going to run away, you want all the energy in your legs and hands. Hands to protect yourself in case he attacks you, and legs to run away. At that time and in those moments, there is not as much blood circulation to all the organs, just like David was saying. In this area, or even your brains actually, it gets sucked out a lot of blood, and you're not as smart at that time. You're not going to make smart decisions. Imagine people living like that day in and day out, and then they wonder why they get sicknesses in this area. That's a good point. Very good point.
So that's the first chakra.
First chakra. So here you're concerned about your security, your protection, your safety, and your survival, right? So what about the second one then?
Second one, it's associated with sense pleasures, reproduction,
Okay.
Creativity.
yeah, creativity.
And so if it's blocked, then you feel that you're not getting you're not being able to express your sexual needs. You're not able to create, because procreation same way, right? You're not able to create anything. Somebody say is locked up in a jail, what is he going to create?
Oh.
You know, so it's possible that that chakra gets blocked. And whenever what they say is if your energy is blocked in that area, you're going to have health problems, like David was here saying, in the organs around that. So you may have urinary issues, you may have testicular cancer, you know, and or you may have sexual dysfunctions, what they call ED, and etc. etc. Right? So that's what happens. They also said the first chakra is when you have a lot of fear, your energy is stuck there, and the second one is when you have a lot of guilt. A lot of guilt also, if you're carrying inside of you, it means your energy is blocked, which means in future chances are you will create problems in that area. So please, if you want to stay potent and fully functional human being, please don't go there. Don't carry guilt with you, right? That's the way I see it. What do you think? You're not saying anything, Kaya.
Oh, putting me on the spot.
Yeah.
I have nothing to
She's
say.
a pharmacist.
Oh,
Pharmacy system.
Oh yeah. Oh,
I
she's.
don't have any hookups for you guys yet.
I bet.
I'm waiting until we get to the higher chakras.
I bet she's thinking, oh, good. If these chakras are blocked, I can sell this medicine. If this is blocked, I can sell that medicine.
This is where I poke them and say, disclose my secrets.
Okay, so we're
I
going
think
to.
David has something to say.
Yeah, go ahead, David.
Well, I think like with each chakra we can overstimulate each chakra, and so it's important to keep in mind that there's a balance with everything, and just because you're lacking in something doesn't mean you necessarily have to go overboard with it.
So what would be like overstimulating your chakra?
Well, like the most normal things people think about, like sex and,
Overeating.
things like that.
Drinking a lot.
Oh.
It's
Too much of
addiction.
something.
actually, that is a very important point.
Yeah.
Addictions.
Oh, so addiction is related with the second chakra? Or
If it's based on guilt.
oh.
But I think the point here to understand is he brings up a very important point. They say that diseases are caused because either that center is overactive or it's underactive.
Oh.
I
In
thought it was
both
only
cases,
the block.
you have an unhealthy condition because our body is nothing but a whole lot of capillaries and tubes and fluid and juices and hormones flowing through. And if the tubes get blocked up, then you got it's almost like water is starting to rot or fluids are starting to rot and it becomes a problem.
That makes sense.
This normal thing is if the normal amount of flow is there, it's supposed to be healthy. You don't want to be too fast or just blocked up, right? Because I think what happens is when you're blocked up, then the fluid stops going there and then you're trying to find other ways around it, causes swellings. But if it's too much running, then it gets worn out.
Right.
Good point, very good point. There's a lot of research on that area, that's so true. So how about the third chakra? Third chakra is your belly button.
I've been told that has to do with the mind.
Okay.
Solar plexus.
Willpower, I believe.
So
And
that's-
self-definition.
yeah.
Self-definition also, right? You're
Like-
defining yourself. And mind, sure. Yellow color.
So if you say self-definition, basically saying like someone like, oh, I'm a doctor, oh, I'm a lawyer, oh, I'm a millionaire, that type of thing.
Because overactive means your ego is pumped up. That's the overactive. Underactive is so low self-esteem. I'm nobody. I'm just a lowly vice
That all has
president.
to do with the third one.
I'm just a lowly.
I don't
The
deserve
ego.
that.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing.
Yeah, somebody says I'm just a
Yikes.
second assistant to the executive vice president, to the
Right.
secretary of the president, or something like that. Or other way saying I'm just a lowly janitor, right? That would be like I'm nobody.
That's
Then
the third one. Okay.
that becomes the issue, and then when you try to feed that, I guess that's when people develop their bellies, right? They're trying to feed it because there's a block or it's running too much. When it's too much, people tend to be skinny here. When it's blocked, they tend to have bare belly. That's what they say, because people who have too much stress, for example, do too much hyperactivity, their stomach tend to be very, very skinny. But people who are slow, the metabolism becomes slow, and this chakra gets blocked.
Wow.
Now I heard that this is the third chakra,
Yeah.
is the doorway to the spiritual, more spiritual chakras, like the heart chakra is
Oh yeah,
the
yeah,
first spiritual.
It's a very important. They call it the Arjuna point actually. Arjuna means self-control.
Oh.
And what I have understood is anybody who's stuck on a center below that person is out of control. He has no self-control.
Impulsive.
Though he or she starts doing impulsive things, self-destructive things, self-defeating things like smoking too much, eating too much, drinking too much, and all destructive things.
You're all over the place.
And that's a very important point, because without that, you're not going to higher centers at all. You might be stuck on the lower part of the human sewage, basically.
Yeah.
And,
Wow.
and also, other thing to note is that look at your belly button, now look at all the organs around it. You got kidneys
Liver.
there, you got spleen, gallbladder,
Stomach.
and you got your liver. How do I know this? I just came back from hospital a few months ago. I mean, I got to learn all those things. So your pancreas are here, all these things, if there's a problem, block or overactive, underactive, you're gonna create a problem for yourself. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's the third.
Okay, very good.
Wow, that makes sense.
What's the next number of third?
The heart chakra.
Green.
Green,
Oh,
yeah.
green, okay. Green is the heart chakra. So what does that represent?
Emotions? Love?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Devotion.
relationships.
Compassion.
Relationship with other people. Because the difference between the second chakra and that is sexual expression, sexual relationship. This is all the remaining relationships
Emotional.
with your buddies, your family, or your co-workers, that kind of things. And also it's the entertainment center too, enjoyment, entertainment. You know, you like to go out dancing, you know, or you want
Oh, I didn't know
to go to
I'm having a good time.
Hawaii
Feeling
or
great.
different
Yeah.
places to travel. So this is
Yeah.
the center.
It's the feeling you get when I go to work.
Yeah.
It's good.
My passion for making
Yeah.
drugs.
Yeah.
They are medications, people. Just to clarify.
There you go. There you go.
Drug
To
making.
help people.
This is our family. We are like that all the time,
We
guys.
should call ourselves. We should call this our spiritual. We should call this our spiritual gathering and drug making.
So where is your meth lab located?
Trunk is in the trunk of our car.
Careful, the FBI will be at my door after this video. And I'll be like, look guys, it's all a joke.
Edit this.
Edit.
Whenever she said drugs, she meant chocolates.
Yeah, auto replace all the part, all the words.
Bleep it out.
Bleep it out. So look at all the organs in this area. Heart, lungs, basically, right?
Yeah.
And they say the key emotion here is sadness. If somebody's sad about something because he or she didn't get a promotion, or sad because some dear one passed away, you keep too much into that, guess what? You're creating problems for this center. And it's going to be blocked or working too hard, stressed out. Either way, now you're getting yourself prepared for a heart attack or lung issues.
What would it look like if someone was blocked in the heart chakra?
Yeah, that was
Like
maybe my
not
question.
enough energy.
I think depressed, sad, down,
Not able to connect
Might be a
with
beautiful
others.
day, but you still feel
Yeah,
down.
You
and
can't
dull.
connect with people, like you
Yeah.
don't have empathy, you can't feel emotions.
Solitude?
Or
like,
put your
But you're,
yeah,
you know,
feel another
like
person's.
good emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe solitude? I don't want to see anyone. I just want to be in my room.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be done directive, right?
That would be the underactive one, right?
Right.
Yeah.
What's the overactive one?
Like
Or it could
super
be, I want to be with
emotional.
all the time.
Oh, always
People.
needing
Everything is a
people.
party.
Need
I was
50 people
already on
around.
the stage,
Oh.
but not
Attachment.
enough to even go home and
Yeah.
change his underwear. I don't have time for that. I'm partying on 24 hours
You
a
should
day.
ask them.
Yeah.
Person
Okay.
may ignore himself.
Mm-hmm.
Is the overactive attachment related to attachment?
To other people.
Sure.
Codependency.
Sure. I mean, what happens then?
Yeah.
Because the idea here is for all of us, we're trying to evolve in this direction. We are evolving and expanding. But if we are going the other way, we are collapsing. We are going down the tubes. There is a reason why they say, I'm going down the tubes.
Oh. I
Yeah.
didn't think of that.
Or I'm stuck in the mud. And the lowest one is basically mud. You're stuck in mud and grime.
But going up doesn't mean that you're neglecting the bottom ones, right?
No, they
When
were
you go
fully activated. Their petals are.
Because
You have to.
Yeah.
I feel the fact that you're at a higher chakra, which means you have the ones below that open.
Mm-hmm. Allows
Yeah,
the
it's
energy to
good.
go up
I mean,
there.
yeah, that part is covered. You're
Yeah.
taking care of
Yeah.
that. Because if it wasn't, you'd keep dropping down with that.
Yeah, because that's a good point. Because if you don't, then you keep going up and down, up and down, up and down. Today I'm up, tomorrow down, and before you know, you could be bipolar, right?
Wow.
Did you know that Mother Earth is bipolar?
I just want to say that.
Actually, yeah. That's a good one.
But actually think about it. If you go too much up and down, and you probably got a relative like that, boy, they'll be kind of hard to deal with. He's happy, and all of a sudden he's lost it. And that's the issue that it gets blocked. It opens up. That blocks open up because our mindset or our energies or our attention, minds work in an interesting way. Let's say that God is sitting in front of you, and you say, "Oh, I love you," and somebody come and pokes your toe with a sharp object. All of a sudden, all your attention will go there. Forget about God. You say, "Why I'm having pain? Why I'm hurting?" You're going to forget about God that instant. And that's why the idea is to kind of gain your victory slowly. It's like climbing the ladder, and you make them healthy, build them up, master the things in this area, then you slowly go up. You're not going down. The cat has gone up the tree, it's not going to come down. Then you're doing the right way. But it's going up and down every day. You'll be doing the yo-yo yoga.
Yo-yo yoga. I like that. Yo-yo yoga. So that's the fourth one.
Yeah,
Chakra.
Yeah.
Then comes 5.
would be here, right?
Throat chakra.
Right.
Yeah.
Just give the whole thing a second.
And it has to do with communication.
Yes.
Is there a
Communication.
gland here too? The thymus? Or is
Thyroid.
it
Thyroid, yeah.
Thyroid, very important
I think it's
gland.
right
here, or is
here.
that okay? Is it the heart?
I don't
chakra?
know.
I think it's right
No,
here.
I think
no,
it's right on
here.
throat. Right
Oh,
as
it
it
is.
is. Yeah. I'm not very conversant with that, but
The
I've
thyroid's
heard
right here.
thyroid.
Thyroid, yeah.
Oh,
The drug dealer would
excuse
know.
me.
Hey!
Yeah,
We'll take care of this off camera.
yeah. Give me some iodine pills, please. So anybody who's got problems here, you talk about throat issues, like sore throat very frequently, or you could in the long run create like a throat cancer or other throat related issues. You may have problems speaking. Like if somebody who is not very communicative, he's blocking it. So energy is blocking it. You know how people have difficulty communicating what they're feeling?
Yeah. Two, I'm not a doctor, but I know that at least
You look
maybe
like a
correct
doctor.
me.
You look like a doctor, though.
That these glands, they secrete certain hormones, and they communicate to different organs, like say the pancreas with insulin. So if this chakra is out of balance, maybe you've got something going wrong down here. So I don't know. I just want
Well,
to
this
point. I
controls
just want to point that
metabolism
out.
of
No,
the
this-
thyroid gland.
Well, guys, listen to him. He's got some very important point here. Because through whatever you're doing with your energy, or if you're not communicating, or you're talking too much, you have too much of this juices and hormones going, it could hurt you. If you're not talking, you're blocking it. And there is a balance in between, which is called talk when you need to, and be quiet. You need to be quiet. Sometimes silence can communicate a lot more than talking.
It's
Right?
also said that this is the zone when psychic starts to
Your
flourish.
spiritual zone.
Yes.
Spiritual zone.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
because that's right above this. This is the zone of the world, and this is the zone of spirit. Starts here. Starts
So there is a difference between love and heart and spirit.
Yes,
What's that difference?
because your definition of love changes.
Mm.
Here in this zone, love is I scratch my back, your back, and you scratch my back. That's how you look at relationship. I do this for you. Why don't you do this for me? But if you go below here, I take. I don't care how you feel. Come here, woman. I don't care how you feel. You know? I'm feeling hot. Come on, give me some. You know? That's how a person is. Doesn't care how you feel. No romance involved there. It's just one way. Here, at least you have to like a human being. But once we go above that, your definition of love changes. And that you start to experience unconditional love.
Oh.
You can't help it. And all of us, we have experienced that. In this family, everybody has experienced that. And if you guys haven't, talk to us, come on. We live in Detroit. That's so true. And that's when, and Eddie says something important. Please, could you expand on that as people become psychics once you go beyond this?
It's yeah, it's when we start to expand more beyond just, you know, relations and whatnot. It's expanding into connections with other beings that may not necessarily be physical or mental, connections with
Like
divine-
angels, like angels.
like angels, hopefully not
Good spirits.
any entities or
Yeah.
whatever.
I mean, that's also
Yeah.
because if you're not careful, you can attract them.
Mhm.
And it has happened.
Yeah, it's one of those things that when you go in that realm, it's said to be important to have spiritual backup, such as a guru
Or masters, yeah.
or a master of some sort who is adept in those realms, because you can encounter beings that might mess with you, might attach themselves to you and drain you of your energy, or make you do things that you normally wouldn't do. But when you have spiritual support, such as divine master, they can protect you from those sorts of things.
Very important word, guys. And those of you, you're playing with Ouija boards, I say be careful. You don't want to go there. And there are people out there, you know, for $50, they'll wake up your Kundalini, or somebody's teaching you astral travels and stuff like that. Those are very dangerous things. You don't want to be going there like a thrill seeker, because you go there, come back with a truckload of problems.
Like you said, it's like a child trying to drive a car.
Yes, you don't want to go there. And that Eddie brings up a very good point. Please make sure you have a spiritual master with a lot of horsepower, because then nobody's going to mess with you.
What happens when you wake up your Kundalini doing the, like you said, the $50 or whatever?
That's risky.
What are the side effects of waking up your Kundalini?
It's same way like you are say 10 years old. Somebody says, for $50 I'll teach you how to drive your dad's Corvette or Lamborghini. Worse, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to crash it.
You're only 10 years old.
But,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I understand like with astral projection, the problem is that your body, spiritual body, becomes attached from your physical body. So
Yeah.
that could cause the physical body harm while you're gone. You may not find your way back. But what about Kundalini?
Okay, so I know I
Same,
have
same thing.
yeah, I have a friend, and I personally know this guy. He had this done for him. You know, like
Oh.
he talked to, I don't know who he talked with, but he basically was like, "Oh, I'm gonna raise my Kundalini," and he went into a state where he got so like he started dancing, wobbling all around, stuff like that, and he couldn't control anything he was doing. Like his hands would just move around randomly. He didn't know what was going on. He always felt that he was hearing voices. In his own room, he felt there were people around, even though
Oh,
there was
even
no,
after he got the
Yeah,
experience,
yeah.
not just in the moment.
no, it lasted for many months. He told me. And he would have weird dreams, you know. So he just felt like, and he felt so detached from the world because everything started feeling fake to him.
Mm.
What
That's-
is that? What is that Kundalini that affects that?
It's another way to look at this. Let's say those of you who have seen circuit boards inside the computer or inside a television.
Okay.
So you got a lot of little capacitors, resistors, all the electronic parts,
Yeah.
and there are connectors made. So what happens first? You have to make the connections, make sure it's all connected properly, and then you connect it to the power source. And if it's well tested, done it properly, then it'll work like a charm. But if some amateur does it without checking that all circuits are connected properly, you turn it on, guess what? You're going to start fuming and look on the whole, to the 4th of July, will burn the whole board.
Short circuit.
So it's very much same. Kundalini is basically
You
the
explain
spiritual
physics
power
terms.
Yeah, right, there we go.
Power.
There we go.
that resides in
It's
each
like-
one of us
It's like
at
it's
the
like
base
it's like
of
your hand, right?
our
Yeah.
spine.
Put so much force here.
And
It's gonna
and
Yeah.
if you do it
firm.
guided properly
Yeah,
by
it
the
makes
right
sense. Oh,
right
that
master
makes
or
sense,
right
yeah.
teacher, then they will make sure that your foundation is okay, all circuits are connected. You're going in a stable established. We just like learning how to drive. I mean, you don't just take the key and say, I'm gonna go start driving. No, you see, okay, here's a foot pedal, here's a parking
Yep.
shift of gear, or here's a flashlight turner, here's the windshield wiper, that kind of things. It takes time for us to learn that. And all we're saying is that please don't go by somebody fly by night trying to teach you, or somebody from the back of your trunk trying to teach you how to wake up Kundalini. It's dangerous. He's got $50, but you got a lot bigger problems. And
But
people don't
Kundalini's okay,
yeah.
so can you talk a little bit about we have the chakras, but we also have the Sushumna, the Ida, and the Pingala, which are the main nadis in the body, right? They're even more maha than the 7 chakras. Is that correct?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like our body operates on electrical systems,
Mhm.
and it's like the power source. The Ida is on the left side. It goes from hot to cold, top of the head, and then you come down from cold to hot. That's the Pingla.
And this is our astral body, right?
Yes,
This is
yes.
our-
What's the difference between the chakras and that?
No, I don't think there's a difference, right?
The chakra is like stations,
Mm-hmm.
and these things are like energy channels. They go from
Oh,
out
okay.
there.
Mm.
And these are like, okay, the train stops at this station, the train stops here, the train stops here. You don't want your train to be just stuck here forever.
So the
You
goal
wanna
is
keep
to
it
have
moving.
that constantly
Right.
flowing.
So they say it's
or-
continuously going like this and like this and like this. When you're healthy, then the Sushumna, what you call the Kundalini power, if guided properly by a proper person, then it wakes up. That's when you start having supernatural experiences, and you have the supernatural gifts like being able to heal people, see people through the wall, hear things from distance. and that kind of stuff.
Now, Nick, I know that you talk about people's consciousness, you know, like a numbering system.
Right.
So someone whose Sushumna is activated, what level of consciousness are they at? Like,
Well, it
or
could be
could you experience
activated,
that?
and that person could be struck at third. So you can wake it up, but then the train doesn't go beyond 3. Obviously, that he'll have a lot of problems here. The right way is to kind of keep going and keep going, keep going, keep going. The idea is in the way we think and the way we act, can we maintain the train to consistently go without falling off the tracks?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the idea.
Mm-hmm.
And you can measure the consciousness like Eddie here was saying, you can use your numbers of chakra to say, okay, I'm here. You can watch your normal tendencies, you know, based on how you're behaving, or someone has a gift to be able to measure people's consciousness. So there's several different ways, you know. But again, your kundalini is basically your supernatural power inside of you. And at the right time, it will wake up. But don't be in a hurry to, you know, step on that gas pedal yet. Unless you have gone through the proper driver training, unless you got the proper license, please don't take your dad's Ferrari. He might not like it. You know what I'm saying? That's basically what it boils down to.
So what's the difference between here and the third eye?
So that's the 6th chakra. I guess we're done with the 5th. That's what we're.
Mhm.
Number 6.
So
That's
now
the
you're in
next
the
one.
spiritual dimension.
Spiritual.
So
Yes, yes.
what's after that when you get here?
So typically they say that a lot of people their third eye opens up. What that literally means, you see with 2 eyes, so that's number 3rd. It means now you are able to supernaturally see things.
Oh.
You know, what happens, you may be able to see things at distance, or you have supernatural messages come to you to this eye. And
But
it may appear in formal pictures.
But it's not like you're just viewing it, you're actually participating in it, almost like you're there.
Yes.
You're a part
yes,
of it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You develop that supernatural ability to
You merge in something.
merge with divine, and then you have a whole lot of other gifts to go along with it. And you obviously, again, as you go on up, you become more and more sensitive, more and more sensitive. You become highly sensitive here, you become very sensitive here, and you become super sensitive here. You become ultra sensitive here, ultra super sensitive like this. And as you go up, you develop more and more gifts. And God trusts us with more and more gifts. Especially, like David was saying, that you don't want to get carried away with that stuff. And don't turn to private magic show. It's better to wait for your guide, your master, to tell you what to do with it. Because if he's giving you a key to a nuclear bomb, just remember, it's not your 4th of July cracker.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you heard the bumper sticker, right? A nuclear bomb could ruin your whole day.
Becoming the president of
Right.
president of something.
And this thing is very powerful, and so it's exciting, it's wonderful. And also there's